After disappointment at two consecutive ODI World Cup finals, New Zealand are Test champions. The Kiwis lifted the ICC Test maze after beating India in the World Test Championship final, their first ICC tournament victory since they won the ICC Knockout Trophy in 2000. Our consulting editor Boria Majumdar is being joined by the man of the moment, Kane Williamson himself, to answer how big an achievement is it for the Black Caps.
Hello and welcome to this very special conversation with somebody who is a role model for everybody in India and in every part of the cricket world. As I said at the start of this interview to him, I can formally introduce him as Kane Williamson, world champion. Mate, many congratulations. How does it feel? Has it seeped in? How does it feel to finally be the best test team in the world?
Yeah, look, it was an amazing game really to be a part of, and obviously quite a long time coming in terms of gaps between knowing who were going to play the final and when that game would eventuate. But it was a really special game that had everything and was highly competitive and could have gone either way for each day really, and to get down to that last day with the obvious interruptions of weather and come out on the right side was, yeah, it was a great feeling. And the team were pretty chuffed, like you mentioned. There's been a few close calls over the years, but they were all great experiences, and really great to get across the line.
Brendan says, we are all proud of you. Sir Richard Hadley says the greatest moment in New Zealand cricket. Actually, objectively speaking, this should be the greatest moment in New Zealand cricket. Your thoughts on that?
I suppose it's always tough to have an opinion when you're involved in the match or in that period of play, but no doubt it's looked upon pretty fondly. It's our first, I guess, title, I suppose. But having said that, I think the most pleasing part and the part that you get the most satisfaction out of is seeing the team sort of continue to grow and adjust, and as we know over the years, things always change. Players change, support staff change, and so that's always a challenge every day. And there's been an element of improvement over a period of time. So it's great to go and be involved in a major event like the World Test Championship and ultimately come out as winners is a special feeling, a different feeling, one that we haven't had before in our history.
Kane, just talk to me a little bit about two questions. One, everyone said because of the fact that the two tests you all had played, preparation, did you actually feel that you went in better prepared?
Look, it's very hard to know what the best preparation is, but all I can say is that India were as competitive and as strong and all of the above as we were expecting, and they're very much a hardened, experienced, world-class cricket team, and that is what we faced. And as we know in England and Test matches in particular with the Duke ball, that different things happen at different times, and I think we saw that in the game, and it was a fantastic game. I mean, as for us, I suppose it was coincidental that tour was booked in prior to making the final of the World Test Championship. But having said that, I suppose it was trying to get that balance really for us, because there was 3 test matches in really quick succession. We didn't want, I suppose, our bowlers overdoing it in particular. So there was a balance, between trying to use, have this amount of cricket, which is, you'd like to think, beneficial, but get the balance right. So, there's nothing perfect. There's no right or wrong answer, but it was nice to be over there playing against England, who are obviously a very difficult side to beat, and then go into the Test Championship.
The second one that I wanted to ask is, when on the final day did you start to feel? Because all of us at the start of the day thought, yes, like you said, that the draw is the most likely outcome because of the rain and everything else. But when was it that you as a team, as a leader, you started to galvanize the boys saying, yes, something can happen?
for us, it was very much about going into the day and certainly respecting the fact that every result was still a very realistic option. I suppose all different percentages of chances, but so playing our cricket and trying to do that as well as we could and commit to what's important to us, which was sort of no different to the last few days or even a lot of the other games that we have been playing, and see sort of how the game unfolds, because it can unfold quickly, and if the chase is on, you can, I suppose, try and up the ante if that opportunity arises. But pushing too hard can often, I think, see the game get further away from you. So yeah, we wanted to sit in it for a period of time and operate, I guess, and it was great that we were able to take some early wickets on that day, which clearly set up, I think, more chances of results for both teams, really, because then we saw the Indian side, look to counter-attack and try and get runs quickly, and there's that balance, isn't it, between time left in the game, amount of runs, and then the more time left in the game as well meant clearly India had a fair shot too. If perhaps they got a few more runs quickly, we saw that surface was definitely offering enough to bowlers to have a funny hour, perhaps like we managed to have, and all of a sudden the game's right in the balance. So, it was an incredibly exciting game. I'm sure it was to watch. And for us, it was, really intense, but great to play as well.
The other thing that stood out for me, Kane, was the contribution from the tail. Even India went in, when New Zealand was batting, we had 8 wickets down, but then that Tim Southee knock of 30, the Jamieson knock of 20, and all of a sudden, what could have been 5-10 runs became a 32-run lead. And the Indian tail, you all managed to get the last 3 wickets in 4 balls. How important do you think is this multi-dimensional thing that the tail-enders have started to contribute, more so for New Zealand, setting up the game? And in a low-scoring game, these runs matter.
Yeah, it was really important for us. And I guess when you have a low-scoring game like we did, and you get any contribution, is so much more valuable, I suppose, relative to the score. So, like you mentioned, your 20s and you're hopefully batting with a constant partner at the other end, and you might put on 40, and that can make a big difference. But also seeing that the surface was quite tricky, and I probably illustrated that to the tail enders as I was sort of battling away. They came out and played with a lot more freedom and looked to take the game on and try and get those quick runs. And perhaps, if you went harder at the ball, then maybe there was an opportunity to get, whether it was outside halves that went for 2 or 3, but you could see the score just ticking over a little bit, which was very tough to do, perhaps more conventionally. So those contributions were so valuable to get that little lead in the scheme of what was a pretty low-scoring match.
Ken, one question which is slightly different. We are a very emotional country in India, and every time the team does well, we sort of go ecstatic, oh, this is the best team that we've had. But whenever there is a loss, we are like, oh, this is a very poor team, etc. You know that feeling. Yeah. But you've been there, and you've also you've seen both sides of the coin. You've lost the World Cup. To a 2015, New Zealand came close. 19 was a heartbreak. 21, you finally won an ICC trophy. India has come close quite a few times. A word on that, because this is an excellent team. You've made the final, you've pushed the bar. A word on that, because it is important to also appreciate the second best, because in sport, there will be a second best.
I suppose in sport, when you have tournaments and you have finals, they're set up often in a way that provides excitement, and it's an opportunity. It's a one-off game, and it never really tells the whole picture. And as we know, this Indian team is a formidable side. They truly are a great side, and for us, we're proud to have achieved a win in this match, but that takes nothing away from the quality that India have in their team and how strong they are year in, year out. And you mentioned perhaps some of the tournaments we've been involved in over the years, as we've seen India have won a number, and I've got no doubt absolutely no doubt they'll win plenty more. You know, you feel the quality every time that you come up against them, and they're very relentless with the ball. The seam bowling depth that they have is perhaps the best in the world. You know, I probably don't need to mention the spinners. They're always, you know, incredible bowlers, and the batting perhaps needs no mention either, because that's always world class. But the depth that has been created. You mentioned, you speak about the emotions, but it's the passion, I think, that the country brings for the sport. And you know, although I play for a different country, I think we can all appreciate having India and the passion for the game. You know, it's a rewarding thing for everybody that plays the game.
Yeah, I mean, I can say this, and even if we've lost, every single person I've spoken to appreciates Kane Williamson and his team. That is also a unique thing about India, that we love your team and what you bring to the table. That photograph, Kane, of you and Virat at the end of the game, sort of hugging each other, that has become viral in the cricket world and tells me about the spirit of sport. Exactly why we play sport, what hands down to other generations, what the future will learn from you two champions. A word on that? Yeah,
I mean, that's perhaps another thing, you know, going into a final, and there's, you know, emotion, and both teams are pushing and wanting to get across the line, and you have a fantastic side like India, but also the way that they're playing their cricket, you know, and I'm sure that's something that the public can really relate to in India. And although it's coming off second in this one, you know, the way they hold themselves and as ambassadors of the game, you know, is, I think, an equally special thing to the talents that they bring. Yeah, you know, it was a great moment, and you know, going toe to toe, and obviously, you know, Virat and I have known each other for a long time, and you know, we're mates, and it's always a, you know, a great part of sport as well, is that